Welcome back, everybody. Evie, are you going to help today? Okay. Today's plan is pretty simple. We are going to get rid of the 12-volt adapter in the dash because I don't like the wires hanging out. It just looks bad. The plan involves this GMT 800 console that I put in the car. I'm going to use the underside, or the writing side of this flip-up pad. We're going to do a mag charger here. It's going to go down through the hole that I already drilled when I started doing this before I made the video, and I thought, I should just make a video out of this. And that's going to go to a 12-volt adapter that goes inside here. That's going to go under the carpet, and we are going to tag into the existing cigarette lighter wiring, so we'll still be able to use this, but we will have additional charging right here.
Everybody got that?
Parts list for today is going to be some sort of mag charger, whatever you need for your device. I think they're all pretty universal at this point. Don't go anywhere. This is a universal, like USB 12-volt adapter. I think I found it on a page for boats and bikes. Should work in cars because it's still just USB adapters. And then I went into my wiring pile and I found some period correct factory GM 2-wire stuff. And this is the end that's going to go to the cigarette lighter. So all we're going to need is some heat shrink, some heat, some tape, cutters, and you know the rest. I guess since we're here, we might as well get started by modifying this pigtail I got to accept this GM 2-wire terminal and connector. And by modifying, I just mean
Nip the tip.
solder everything together. And just to save time, make it easy, what I'm using is actually solder sticks. These are the heat shrink that has solder on the inside. They work really well for projects like this, which is nice when you just do this on the weekend. You don't have a lot of time. Tonight only, 2-for-1 heating. Tonight only.
Tonight only.
I don't think this is really the right size for this wire, but it will work. See what you did there. Yeah, we'll let that cool and we'll work on the rest of it. I think the first step here is make sure I actually have enough wire to do what I want to do. If that's going up the cigarette lighter adapter and down through the carpet. I don't know that that's enough. I think we're going to put some extensions on these wires real quick. Honestly, what could possibly go wrong? I'm only adding more resistance and more connections into a circuit. It'll be fine.
Sure.
That ought to be enough. Let's see. I'm going to snip these as far down as I can, so I've got plenty of pigtail left. Because it's just going to make life easier, I think. Possibly. I don't know, really.
Then I was electrocuted.
Don't forget to disconnect your battery before you do this. Hopefully it is actually grounded at the other end. I haven't tested that cigarette lighter, so I really don't know. And then we're going to say that green is ground, because why not? Why not? Why not? And we'll twist these together first. Hopefully I haven't moved that camera and you can still see what I'm doing. I should have enough. Oh yeah, it'll be all right. Then our black wire on our cigarette lighter terminal is going to go on this way, just like that. We're going to let that cool. Now we're going to do the same thing with the orange wires. Orange and white, I guess, for this one. This is difficult to do upside down and sideways.
My back!
Time for melty poo. Really shouldn't use these like that, by the way. Now that we've got that taken care of, I'm going to let that cool before I go tucking that back up to the cigarette lighter. So we'll run this under the carpet while we wait. Try to make it neat. We'll run it back behind some of this other wiring that's hanging down. It's all aftermarket speaker wiring and radio wiring that I also need to tuck back up there. Of course I do. I'll get to it eventually.
But you're not going to do that.
Man, I sure wish I could reach farther than that. Insulation. Good. No asbestos there. All right, get down, please. Thank you for the help. Evie went ahead and removed the center console tray for me. You're being so helpful today. Thank you. But This next step involves a knife, and you're not really old enough to use a knife, so I'm gonna have to ask you to move. Can you move, please? Dogs, am I right? Now we gotta cut a hole in the carpet right near where we have mounted this bracket. And I had to cut that hole kind of big because I've gotta get my whole hand down here to be able to reach that wiring. There it is. Perfect. Ta-da! Let's find something to charge. Now, since I do all my recording with my phone, I can't really show you my phone charging and record it at the same time. Or maybe I can, and I'm just not smart enough to do that.
You know, people think I'm smart, but I'm not smart.
So, I borrowed my daughter's phone. It's definitely charging. All right, hey, this works. Now we gotta mount it. I'll give her this back before she yells at me. Now, to mount this charger right here, originally, my idea was to use some sort of silicone or maybe hot glue gun, but one of my subscribers said, hey, try 3M double-sided tape first. So I think that's probably the best idea. I did have a little bit left, so we're gonna try it. If you do watch, feel free to comment. I do listen to the comments, and I even take their advice from time to time. Not always, but sometimes. I'm also known to go in the complete opposite direction of the advice. Our whole goal with this car is to make it factory, not factory.
Trademark Fox.
What I mean by that is if you spend all of your time trying to get something restored, like really nice showroom restored, you're never going to be able to drive it. But if you get something nice enough just to get it on the road and usable, even if you hack it together, factory is better than factory.
Trademark Fox.
I think I'll actually be coming out with stickers that say that soon, so stay tuned for that one. But right now, it's going to take me the next 5 days just to peel this double-sided tape.
Every hero struggles with failure.
Alrighty. Plug our tail in and see where we want this to be. I want it to angle that way so it folds up nice and neat. So I think right about there. Should be dead center. That part's solved. Now we have to mount that 12-volt adapter, plug our cigarette lighter back in, and we're done. Look at that. It's hidden.
Not a clue. It's totally hidden.
Best idea ever. Not really. Something like that ought to work. This calls for self-tappers. There we go. Look at that. And since we mounted it there, what we actually have is one spare USB that can go completely outside the console to charge something else. Close it up, it shouldn't interfere. It doesn't look like we have any sort of charger at all. Now, as soon as we plug that mess back in, we'll be done. This is probably the hardest part because I can't really see what I'm doing. There's a... No. I can almost see it. Where is the lighter? The lighter is there.
It's right there.
I think it's plugged in. But I don't know. We're gonna try the lighter and find out. How do I get out of here? Let's see if this still works. Ooh. Might be hard to see right now, but that's hot. That still works. So that's good news. That means if we have to, we can still use this as a backup. So we'll put that right down in the backup tray. And that's pretty much it. So now we have our nice little hidden flip out mag charger that we can put an iPhone on. And that's good enough that you can have that right there as a nav screen, or maybe for podcasts or music going down the road. And you don't have wires hanging out everywhere off the dash, and you don't have any extra chargers and cables laying anywhere down here. It's a nice, clean look for our factory 1968 Chevelle project. All right, everybody. Well, that'll do it for today. We'll see you next time.